Hello and welcome to Stylish Chats with Creatives. Today on the podcast, I've got Kristin Aleksandrova. She is a photographer and is currently studying at the University of Huddersfield. Hello.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on. Oh, I'm good. How are you?
Kind of tired, but I'm great. I'm great. Thank you.
Good. Well, thanks for reaching out because I think this is going to be a really interesting chat with somebody who's still currently in education about your photography, how you got here, your course, and all sorts of things. Because I've spoken to people who have been out of uni maybe like 5 to 10 years, and I'm assuming that the courses have changed like drastically since then. So is your course a really commercial course, or is it is it more geared towards fine art kind of photography?
Not really from both. The course is based on actually what the people in it want to do. For example, it's constructed in a way that the first 2 years we are basically taught almost everything. We're basically taught the commercial side, the kind of more of like artistic side per se, and many techniques, of course. And in our final year, we are kind of to decide where do we want to focus on more. We kind of narrow the path that we go on.
Mm-hmm.
So it's great because we have the professionals that help us find it, kind of ourselves, our style, give us the techniques needed to develop our professional style and kind of build ourselves.
Yeah.
And then they push us at the end of the final year, which I am at the moment, push us to have our own website, to be out there, basically.
Yeah, because when you come into the industry and you're freelance, you wear a lot of hats because you've got to do your own website, you've got to be your own marketing team, you've got to be your own social media, and everything else that comes with that, right?
Yeah. It's been interesting, but I can definitely say that I'm sure that most of the people that are from my course and study photography in the university can say that the professionals that we have in the field, they have been in the field for a long time. They have done what they've done, and now they still learn new things from us, which is great because we have kind of that, how to explain it, we're kind of like, you can even say friends with some of them.
Mm-hmm.
I literally, sometimes when I go to uni, I kind of get nostalgic now because I think about it and it's my final year. When I go to uni and it's like everyone's there, but you don't feel like you're going to university. You feel like you have a project that needs to be done. It's like you're in the professional field. You go in the studio, you talk to your peers, like your colleagues, and then you go to the tutor, you discuss some things and he gives you feedback or not. And it just kept very professional but very friendly at the same time, and it's great.
Yeah, that sounds actually very like a really good culture because that's similar to most studios.
Yeah.
Like out in like the working world, a lot of studios, creative studios, are really friendly. Everyone's quite like bouncing ideas off each other, and we're all like, you're there to be professional, but we're all also a little bit silly, you know.
Yep.
That's creatives though, right? Because everyone's a little bit silly. I think that's the best word to put it.
Yeah, having like that music in the studio, and of course, and the norms, but being like kind of silly about it, but not really silly, but like having fun with what you're doing, just having fun and enjoying it. That's probably the most important part, I guess.
Yeah. So have you gone into, I've seen on your website, you do quite a lot of graphic still life. Is that the kind of route that you're looking to go down?
Yeah, I've been doing mostly product shots this final year. The funny thing is, I've never liked studio. I've been doing photography since 2015. Professionally, I would say kind of since the first year of university, so maybe like the past 3 years. But I've never liked studio. I've never liked how kind of, I was thinking that it's kind of stiff. I was thinking that, you have so much control. Like, it's kind of like you're faking it. It's better to go out and kind of be around the nature and just see what you can do out there and like challenge yourself, you know?
Yeah.
But after these few years, I was challenged because of modules and everything to learn that aspect as well and see how would I perform. Sorry. And and if I'm going to be interested. And so that's how I became actually interested in it. And there are a few photographers that have really kind of, I would say, touched me with their work.
Yeah, yeah.
If I can say that. Basically everything that's very colorful, very kind of the contrast is there. You can, as you say, graphic. You can really see the colors pop. You can see the lines in the picture. It's very simple, but like the combination between fabric and texture,
Yeah.
the colors and the contrast and the kind of the lines within the picture. That's what kind of gives me pleasure to look at my own pictures. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you have to have something that you enjoy looking at when you're working as well. Like very much when I'm on set, if there's stuff, I've done a lot of graphic stuff as well with different backgrounds and shapes and things. And then for me, it's when two products touch. If they're like just kissing and then it looks like they're just like not quite, they're kind of almost be one product. So it needs to go back a little bit and it's amazing how much you start to see when you're shooting product, how people think it's easy to style and shoot, and actually it can be quite challenging.
No, I agree with you. I don't think that anything that photographers or stylists or whoever in the creative kind of industry does it's easy. It's not. You have to have the eye for it, or at least to be done, to have been doing this for a long time, to have again the eye for it, to be able to see, oh, this might need a little tweak, and to say like, oh no, this color doesn't work with that one. Just simple things can make huge difference.
Yeah, we always say as well, there was a saying when I first started styling, and it would be like, oh, you're 1 pixel out, so like a millimeter out of stuff. And it's that attention to detail that the consumer maybe wouldn't notice, but they'd notice if it was wrong. And like it's amazing like how you guys are tuning into that already, having like not as much studio experience, you know, with whole teams of people as well, because as soon as you're on set, you've then got art directors and you've got lots of other people, you know, kicking around as well. Like everyone's got to have their opinion on the shot.
Yeah, I really look forward to when I kind of reach that point that I can work and collaborate with kind of that many people that are supposed to be in the studio, because at this point I've worked with photographers mostly, and of course we have to style our still life composites, and we have to figure out everything that's going to go there. We have to be the directors, the stylists, the models even sometimes. So you kind of see this from a naive point of view, and you experience it from such with less nerves, I would say. But I'm really looking forward to see how it is in like the big studios one day.
Yeah, it's good fun. Honestly, it's good fun. I found it, especially up north, a really friendly, like kind of industry to be in. And I think like there's a lot of collaboration. There's a lot of like, oh, I can't do this job, so can you fill in for me? And you know, a lot of helping each other out, really.
That's really nice, actually.
Yeah,
it's not like someone is trying to be kind of sneaky or
no.
That's really good.
It's a bit more guarded down London way, but it's less so up here. Like, because I was based in Peterborough, so I used to work in Leicester and Milton Keynes, and it was way more guarded than what it is up here.
Okay.
But also at the end of the day, we're all doing the same job, right? So we're all, you're all styling, you're all, you know, it should be collaborative.
It's all done for someone, or like a business or a brand or whatever.
Yeah, that's it. So what brought you to the UK? Were you coming this way to study, or had you already emigrated? What's your background there?
That's a long story, but I'll kind of try to shorten it a bit to keep it sweet and interesting. I came in 2018. I came actually to Stafford. It's next to Birmingham, kind of. I went there to study photography in college, and that's kind of how it started, because my family member lived there, and I had the opportunity to have a better education into something that I want to do, because I've started studying photography in 2015 in Bulgaria, where I am from. And it was mostly because it was high school. And in high school in Bulgaria, we have professional kind of modules that we can take on. And I had a few in photography. I was in the photography school as well. So that was where kind of the spark came on.
Yeah.
And when I heard that I can have the opportunity here to continue and one day have the university degree from the UK, I don't know if any other countries are like that, but for example, in Bulgaria, many people do try to emigrate and at least study somewhere where the degree is going to be more recognized worldwide. Because Bulgaria is a small country. I love my country, of course, but there's some things that I think people, for example, creative people, would prefer to study elsewhere. Mm-hmm. Of course, we have some great modules and courses there, but I just preferred it here. I just wanted to see what the challenge is. So me, being 17 years old, just like a full-on teenager, I wasn't even 18. I came here, and it was actually very strange being in college, because it's very different from the high school that I was. Meeting people, didn't know the language, didn't know even like the manners and the banter that people here do.
Yeah,
it was challenging, I would say, and the weather as well. Of course, I thought I miss it.
Oh, Jesus, the weather.
Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of how it started. I did college for 2 years, BTech in photography. Then I started looking around for universities and where should I go. I got an offer from Manchester's. Oh, I always mistaken which one of them two universities was. I'm so sorry. I got an offer from one of them.
Yeah.
And from University of Huddersfield, I had to come for an interview. So I traveled here. I've never been here. This was my first time. I was extremely scared. I've always been extremely nervous before something kind of major happened, and I tend to put stuff in my life that I feel that they're major, but they're not really. But yeah, I just mess with my brain, and I went for the interview, and I know that might sound very kind of strange, but I felt the place. I literally felt the place. It was just like it was meant to be. I don't know if it was. I'm gonna see the grades at the end, but I just felt like it. The people were great. The building that I entered, the one that I have at the moment that I do all of the studies there, it's a fresh new one, maybe like 3 years old, not even that much, like a new building with new facilities. All the studio equipment is brand new and everything. So I just felt it, and it was like, no Manchester, no nowhere. I'm gonna go to Huddersfield, where I've never been before, and it was
But that's really, I understand that, like, kind of like gut feeling. You kind of get that when you're like going to live somewhere, or when you walk in somewhere, you just kind of know, your intuition just goes, yeah, this is the place.
You know that it's your place.
Yeah, that's amazing. And so you then were at uni beginning of 2020?
2020, yep.
Or just had you started uni before the pandemic, or during the pandemic did you start uni?
September 2020. Ooh. During the kind of during the pandemic. Yeah.
So yeah, how did that affect your college? Did your college end up getting like shut down just before your?
No, it was actually kind of after. I think I already had submitted most of my stuff, if I remember correctly.
Oh, okay. So it just kind of impacted you. How did it impact you actually to go to uni? Because I know, like we were just talking before we click record, that it affected us creatives who have been in the industry a long time. But how did it affect you guys? Like, how did it affect you?
I'm gonna speak from my personal point and from my friend to kind of say how it was kind of for us. Of course, photography is a practical course. You kind of need that studio experience. You kind of need to at least go out and take pictures. And being kind of locked in inside, not being able to do any of those was definitely challenging. And it was a first for, of course, everyone. So at the beginning, the university kind of tried to have the first few months kind of hybrid learning, some things to be online, some things to be in person. Of course, with all masks, sanitizers, everything was, we had to go around and clean everything that we touch. So it was very kind of regulated and strict. Mm-hmm. But they quickly stopped that around, so 2020, September, around November, before the Christmas break. And most of my first year was online. But something interesting is how actually the course changed, because I have really no idea how the first year of my course is supposed to be without COVID.
Yeah.
For me, it was the tutors came up with all of us having an Instagram account, a course Instagram account. And we have to post there, I think it was like once or twice a week. We have a set task that we have to do. We have, of course, our workshops online. We study different techniques online, editing processes as well. But at the beginning, it was more of introducing us to have an eye for a picture, to see the picture itself. So we had some interesting kind of homeworks, if I can say. Not really homeworks, but yeah. One of them I remember now is to make a collage. We were meant to go out to the shop if we can, or if we have something around the house, like newspapers and stuff, and just to literally cut out either people or different pieces from those newspapers or magazines or whatever, and to make up a scenario, either something abstract, or if there's like a pattern, or just something that would keep us moving and our brain buzzing.
Yeah.
Then to take a picture of that, but a good picture to look all right, to post it on Instagram, then to talk about what we've done, then to have like a peer review around that. And even though it's like something as simple as cutting out a few stuff from a magazine and gluing it together, that can definitely kind of challenge your perspective in regards to how colors work together, how shapes work together, what even kind of different materials, how you can combine them. So yeah, that was interesting. But I think they did pretty well for having to be behind closed doors with a practical course. It was definitely challenging. I wouldn't want it again. I would prefer to have it in person, because something that me and my friend always joke about. That's another cute story. I met a Bulgarian, because I'm from Bulgaria. I met a Bulgarian friend in the same course, and we didn't know each other until the first day that we actually met each other on the course.
Oh, really?
So that was what a coincidence, and we've been best friends since then. That's cute.
That's really cute.
Yeah. So we always joke about the fact that we actually met most of our peers the second year, which is kind of sounds sad, but at the same time, we were able to appreciate that more. Mm-hmm. And I would say that most of us are fairly close. I would definitely say that we've built a very nice foundation of people within the same network that can definitely work together and have had opportunities to work together and collaborate in different kind of projects and everything. So I really think that at least that's something good to take from that, to appreciate the time that you have in person.
Yeah. And also I think like it was really interesting then when you were just saying about how your tutors got you to do like collage things and stuff, because you're still dealing with composition, and composition is still such a big part of photography. And it's such a skill to have, to know how shapes fit, how different colors, like you say, behave once you've taken a shot. So that's really interesting that like your tutors sound really good. Like they've really like...
Yeah, I am very proud that we were able to kind of be with them. All of us are like, oh yeah, we love them. We just love them.
Yeah. So are all your tutors professional photographers, or are they different?
Yes, I hope that I don't lie to you now. I think so. I think all of them are. They all have their background in photography. Some of them have been doing commercial their whole life. Some of them have other things going on. We have people from actually everywhere. It's great.
Yeah, that's good. It's good you've got a really good mixture, actually.
Yeah.
It gives you like a broader sense of what photography can be as well.
Yeah.
Because it's not just fine art and it's not just commercial. It's like the whole, there's lots in between.
That was something that I was searching for when I was looking for universities, because some of them do really focus on fine art only or commercial only. And I was really happy to kind of figure out that our university doesn't do that. So it was great to see that the practitioners, you always have, for example, I do commercial. I know who from the practitioners does commercial and have done it for a living. So I can walk up to them and ask them for a brief, for example, for me to kind of play off of that and experiment with that and see if I can do it. Of course, if something is like kind of secret brief, I wouldn't ask for it, but yeah. Or I can have a conversation with someone else, even though they haven't done commercial things in their career, they can give me a perspective of something else. Every one of them has something to say, and they have done the modules so they can collaborate within each other and they can push each other within the modules as well to kind of get that opinion mixed. You can always go to someone for a different feedback.
Yeah.
And it's up to you which kind of feedback, that kind of might sound strange, but it's up to you which feedback you take, because they can always point you to a direction, different one from what the other person has said, but you can see those two different things and be like, okay, let me do a mixture of them both because I'm interested in this third thing, for example. Yeah.
It sounds really good. Like, I've mentioned on the podcast before, but when I went to go to uni a long time ago, the course that I wanted to do, they just were like, there's not much interest, so we've just merged it with another course. No. And like, it would have been so good, but I think you make the best of it, don't you? And like, by the sounds of it, you guys are making, it sounds like such a good course. I want to just come and like join you for the day. It sounds really good.
Not to sound like too cheeky, but we do really enjoy it.
Yeah, that's good. And I think because you guys had that weird start to uni, you didn't have the usual like freshers parties and all this other stuff, I imagine, right? It was all like,
no.
Oh God.
No, I was actually kind of jealous my first year because I quickly found kind of other Bulgarians around here. I made some friendships around here, but it was all online. I wasn't able to see anyone. It's good to say that I'm a gamer, so that didn't bother me as much. I was able to play games online. I was able to do other stuff online, so that wasn't that much of an issue for me. But it was definitely challenging when you're in a different country, different language, different manners and people, and the way that they think. Everything is different at first, but then once you kind of get to know everyone, because I would say like a controversial probably opinion that most British people, they look friendly, but not really. But when you get to know actually most of them, you get to see that it's just like a facade, if that makes sense. Yeah. And if you kind of go that one step further, you're able to go in and find more people to network with at first. And especially in this kind of field, you have to be more open about what you do. You have to push yourself out there. You have to basically be out there, and how to do that better than just befriending someone or just being more open.
Yeah.
and friendly. Being kind goes a long way.
Yeah, it really does. It really does. And like being a team player as well. And I think like, I actually don't think that was a controversial review of British people. I think that it is like that. Like, I think there's this kind of, I don't know whether it's like a Victorian, like stiff upper lip kind of thing. We've got to keep up appearances, and actually, like, none of us are like that actually underneath.
I was glad to find out that.
Yeah, we're like this as well. In the north, people are so friendly in the north. Like, we can't walk the dog like 100 meters without like 5 people saying hi to you. Like, people stop and like have a chat and all sorts with you. So yeah.
Saying that, by the way, can I just jump in with this? I come in from a Balkan country. You walking out in Bulgaria and just smiling at someone, people would think that either you're on drugs or you're crazy or something is really wrong with you. And when people started smiling when I was in college, and people just down the street, they were just like, I was just going to the shop or something, I don't know. And the first time a person smiled at me, and I couldn't do anything. I just stopped and I looked at him passing me, and he had the same kind of face after he passed me. He was like, why didn't she smile? You know, he was like, what did I do? And afterwards, I kind of realized that people just do that here, and I was like, okay, that's actually freaking cool. It's just nice. It's just good vibes from everyone around.
Yeah, it's like,
it's great for me.
It's definitely, if you're not used to it, like when my sister lived in London, and my mum went down to visit my sister, and my mum was like chatting to the guy at the corner shop that my sister had been to like 1,000 times. And mum was like, oh, he's really nice in the corner shop. And my sister was like, I've never spoken to him. She was like, Londoners just go like, here's your money, see you later. Like don't even smile at each other. And then you come up north and everybody tells you like their life story whilst you're out walking the dog. Yeah. And you're just like, hi.
It's great.
Oh, it's lovely. Like, we've moved a little bit further out, so we're not too far from you now, but it's so friendly. Even in the cities, you know, in Manchester, it's super friendly, and it's just a nice vibe. Like, it's just a nice thing to, I don't know what it is about British people doing that, but we always say hi. And then if you're out in the Peak District for a walk, everyone's like, oh, definitely, hi. My husband actually told me off the other day. He was like, people don't want to say hi to you. And I was like, right, I'm not going to say hi first. And 5 people said hi to me first. And I was like, see, they do want to say hi.
Yep, exactly.
Like, they do want to talk to me. He's like, you don't have to talk all the time, Charlotte.
No, positive vibes, and kind of just smiling at someone. You don't even need to say hi, just smile, and that goes a long way.
Yeah, definitely. And I think as well, in this industry, being creative and being like happy and like smiley, and it'll get you further as well, you know, just being friendly, and
hopefully
yeah, it will.
Most of my friends tell me that I'm too hyped up sometimes, which I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but now that you said that, like smiley, people smiling, and maybe that's going to be good for me.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing. Also, like when you're freelance as well, you're in different studios with different teams. Some people cross over obviously in different studios. So it's almost like you've got to start your first day at your job every single time you go into a new studio. Like,
oh my god.
So like tomorrow I'm in a studio that I've not been in for like 6 months, and the same people are there, and like I know people there who I met 10 years ago. But it's kind of like I still get a little bit like nervous, like, oh, are these people going to remember me? And of course they will. It's, you know, it's fine. But you kind of just have to go in and be like, hi, are you all right? And chat away and get a cup of tea. And it gets you a bit further. Like, you know, people then remember you and they're like, oh yeah, that's the chatty one. Or like, that's for me, they go like, oh, there's the tattooed one who doesn't shut up. So, you know, it's that's it.
Actually, I've never viewed it from this kind of point of view. Yeah, that does make sense. Just being in a different studio is like just going for your first day at work for the first time. Like, it's
yeah.
Oof.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm getting nervous again.
It's not as nerve-wracking as you think. Like, if you're quite chatty as well, which you appear to be, and friendly, and it's fine. You just kind of slot right in. And also, like, going back to what we were saying earlier, like, most studios are a little bit silly. They're kind of like got music going and they're a bit fun, and so I actually think that, like, being a bit more confident is a good thing. Because then people remember you and they're like, oh, that person really helped me out. And one of my tricks as well is wearing bright clothes. So people go, oh, when you were last here, you're wearing those really bright dungarees. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's me. And then people remember you. So it's all these little tricks you see. I'm giving them all away.
That's a very good advice. People listen.
But I think as well, like, as creatives, you try and fit into a box, right? So say when you go for interviews and things, I used to wear like smart stuff, like, a shirt or whatever. And like, I'm talking, this is 2010, so this is a long time ago. And I think, like, I must have just looked the same as everybody else because we all look like that. When actually, if I'd have turned up in my bright colours, people would have been like, remember who that girl is. And, it's setting yourself apart a little bit as well, isn't it?
Yeah. I've always kind of been, I think that's like a trait that I've have from my mom, for example. She has always taught me to be like always presentable, always present yourself in a way to even like put on a costume on, just hide your tattoos, hide everything that it's not supposed to be seen. And I really struggle to explain to her that mindset is kind of long gone, especially in the generation that I'm at the moment. And it's not even really from a point of standing out as much. It's more of a you just look more approachable. You look more chill. Even it's not that kind of having the stiff costume look from before. I feel like, correct me if I'm wrong, that's my observation.
No, it is. And I think I've had a very similar conversation with my dad, because I've got my hand tattooed and I'm like, I've got a whole sleeve, I've got other ones that are visible and stuff. And my dad was like, well, what if you never get a job again? I'm like, but you need to come in the studio and see the videographer with his neck tattooed and some tattoos under his eyes and his head. And, like, we're not in that kind of industry. I think it's different if you're like, if I tried to go and be a lawyer or something, then it probably wouldn't be as accepted. But like, I feel like in our industry, we don't necessarily need to look like we fit in, but sometimes I do get what your mum's saying with sometimes you still do have to look presentable. So it's like having like a little work uniform that you're like, like I feel comfy, I feel like presentable. I'm not like,
at least you've tried.
But also like you're practical as well, because often in the studio you're lifting lights, you're shifting furniture, you
have to be comfortable.
More often than not, I'm on the floor sorting out a duvet that's hanging off the bed. I'm covered in dust, like I'm just filthy by the end of the day because you're literally crawling around. But at least I look nice when I walk in the studio. It's funny.
I feel like in regards to tattoos, for example, it's been a lot different, especially, as you said, especially in our kind of field. It's more understandable. I think the stigma around tattoos has changed a lot. Of course, even like whatever you have as a tattoo. For example, I have one tattoo and it's literally a camera on my ribs. It's nothing, and it means something for me. But most people wouldn't see it. It's in my ribs. It's on on my ribs, and but still, I've had some strange conversations with people that really don't see tattoos as a good thing. Which, of course, everyone has their own opinion. But most of them kind of say, tattoos is like a bad representation of yourself, which I don't really agree on. But
do you know what? I'm just going to virtually high five you because I also got my ribs tattooed as my first tattoo, and it was fucking horrible.
I didn't know that it's gonna hurt as much. It was literally 15 minutes. I felt that needle was like within me, like for half an hour or even more.
Yeah.
It was horrible.
Horrendous. And yeah, I still kept going back. So
I haven't yet.
Yeah. It's once you pop, you don't stop. But I do think with our I tried to explain it to like my dad and like my grandma. My grandma was like, "Are you finished with getting your tattoos now?" And I'm like, no way. And I'm like, but for me, it's hanging artwork on myself. So I'm going to these artists because I really love their work. So I want a piece of their work on me. And I have artwork hung around my house, but like these are like personal, or some are like similar to you. I've got some that mean a lot to me, but I've also got some because they're just fun.
Yeah.
You know, and I think it's because I like that artist, and I think that's the attitude changing a lot to it, even in the corporate world. But it's hard to explain to parents and grandparents that, you know, we're not in a biker gang, it's fine.
Exactly. Yeah.
I've not had like a skinhead in Doc Martens tattoo me, you know, it's fine. And if I did, great now, because I probably like their artwork. But it's not in some dodgy, like, weird tattoo shop. But yeah, it is weird, like, in our industry, I think, as well, because people dress so differently, and lots of people are very flamboyant, and, you know, people dress lots of different ways, have different coloured hair, makeup's amazing, and, you know, so I think it's just part and parcel of like decorating yourself, isn't it, and expressing yourself.
Yeah, definitely. I've seen many colorful people, for example, from my course, and because the building that I'm at is a mixture of architecture students, fashion students, graphic design, photography students. It's art and design building basically, and everyone is colorful. Maybe this is like the best way to explain them, to kind of explain what's this. When you walk in, you see all them different people wearing so many different clothing and patterns and everything, and they just experiment with what they do. It's either their hair or the way that they dress, or tattoos, as we just spoke about. It's just a different viewing on how to express yourself, I guess.
Yeah, and I think creative people sometimes feel that they're suppressed a little bit, like, kind of, you know, maybe I'm a little bit older than you, so like mine was maybe like my creativity in some ways was, my expression of my creativity was somewhat suppressed because I lived in a small town, and, you know, that kind of thing. Whereas like I feel that you guys have more accessibility to have that freedom, if that makes sense. You're kind of like, you're allowed to be yourselves a lot more easier than what I was. And I'm talking maybe 20 years ago. So not even a long time ago, really.
Yeah. No, I definitely, I'm 22. I think definitely for the years that I've been here, loads of things have changed. We're kind of one of the first generation that has been growing up with social media, that kind of well incorporated in our lives, and like being in there, on there, our faces, our art, everything just being there changes the way that you grow up as well.
Yeah,
it's kind of, you have your parents or the people that look after you to help you kind of build your view on the world, but then at the same time being online, not even just social medias, and in general just being online and having the access to all the information. You have more access to more things that other people have thought of doing as expression that you can try. Or it's kind of the beauty of it at the same time, but it can be seen as a bit dangerous as well, because too much freedom is not always that good.
Yeah. I think everybody still needs their boundaries, right?
Yeah.
So did you grow up with social media? Or you're going to blow my mind now, aren't you? You grew up with social media like from a young age. Did you have a mobile phone? Did you have a mobile phone when you were quite young?
Ish. I had access to a computer and social media since probably I was let me not. Okay, let's say like 7 years old, for example. Yes, but that was restricted because I had that because my mom is an accountant and she had to have a computer, and I just had access through her. But that doesn't mean that I was just like Googling stuff. I was playing those like free games. The ping pong and but I've always had a phone since a very young age, purely because of safety reason. Safety reasons, because I was going to high school. I was how old was I? Maybe like 9-10 years old, and I was walking to high school alone. Because it was like literally like a few blocks down the road. But so purely safety reasons. Of course, it wasn't like a digital phone. It was like the buttons and everything. So no, I'm not saying that I didn't have that kind of free from digital stuff childhood. I did still have that, but it was a very weird mixture, because I guess my parents weren't really able to figure that out as well themselves. They've grown up with different stuff around. They didn't have that when they were younger. So it was a weird balance of my mom telling me, no, please don't watch that much TV. But then at the same time, please come back. You've been all day outside. So it's like, what to do at the end.
It sounds like you had a really balanced upbringing in that sense then, because like we had, so I'm going to probably blow your mind, but I was a kid when the internet, you had to physically plug the internet into the computer and it made that horrible like noise. And then me and my sister had restricted access to my dad's computer because my dad needed a computer, and he actually went on an IT course back in the 90s to figure out how to do it all himself. And so we had that, and then we actually didn't get a mobile phone until I was like 13, 14. And then it was like a Nokia 3310, so like a brick. Then it just went through, and then we got like obviously social media. So like I don't remember Facebook until my friends went to uni at like 17, 18. So we actually didn't have social media, but we still had like the text, like, you know. It was
SMS.
It was just a bit weird. Like, it was a weird. It's looking back on it, I'm like, oh, it's really weird. Like, but we were still very similar. Like, Mum would be like, are you going to go outside? Or we'd be playing outside for ages. And then she'd be like, come on, come in. You've been outside for ages. And then like my sister would be like on her computer or whatever. When we eventually got our own computers, and Mum would be like, can you just take a break from your laptop? You don't need to be on it now. But yeah, isn't it funny how it changes, like, and how I can't imagine how your parents felt navigating social media and stuff when they probably didn't fully understand it themselves, because it was like still a new thing.
My mom, for example, they both know how to operate it. It's not like they have no idea. They're actually doing pretty good with that. But of course, I occasionally get those phone calls of like, how to kind of enter this, or to remove this, or to do this, you know. And I have to be the rescuer. But no, I've never. I feel like I grew up in a family that was very kind of calm in regards to me figuring my own balance. I think that's just how they kind of taught me to not challenge myself, but to find my own balance, to always have that in the back of my head with whatever I do, is it gaming or whatever. So I was able to, that might sound very strange for many people, but my Facebook is from, I joined Facebook in 2011, which means that I was 10 years old. That doesn't mean that I've used it as much. It's just that when my account was made, and I vividly remember my mom actually just being there and helping me. I'm not sure if she knew what Facebook was back then, but I was very passionate about doing it, because I remember other of my peers being like, oh, Facebook is so cool. You can like look at memes back then and like just do some stupid stuff. And that's how I kind of remember it. It was it wasn't. I've always been actually introduced to maybe kind of the more scary sides of social media. My parents were always great on kind of educating me on how to protect myself as a female, and just in general, like going out late alone, that's a big no-no. You have to be with people. If I go on a sleepover or something, my parents have to have the address, someone's name, and like a number of someone, and that's when I'm going to be able to go to the sleepover. But that kind of gave them a bit of security. It gave me freedom as well. And I think it was very similar with social media and just everything digital in general.
Yeah. I think like my parents didn't really understand what social media was, because we had MySpace and a thing called Face Party, which was kind of like Facebook, like an early doors Facebook. It was really shit. And then so my mum and dad were like, you're on a chat room. What do you mean? Like, what do you mean? Who are you talking to? And we're like 14, 15, like, I don't know. It's just really cool. We get to chat to random people. And like, so I think they learn as we learn. So it's like, I can't imagine like how they felt as well with like all this tech all of a sudden. And now they're 60 and they've got like Facebook, they've got Instagram. They're like, show us how to use this. And my dad's like watching like reels on Facebook that are like hashed through TikTok and everything else. And I'm like, I daren't open TikTok for him because we'll just lose him. He'll be gone forever.
Yep.
And it's just, it must be like mind blowing for them as well. And like, yeah, social media is just a weird one because I don't know. Do you feel like you have more of a broad set of influential people on there now? Because I've had to really search for the people that I really like.
Because I've been on social media for, I don't know, as long as I can kind of remember. I occasionally search for people, but for me it's mostly finding them through other people or pages. I don't really search for anyone. For example, I found you on LinkedIn, and I found you through a post of another photographer. And I was just I just wrote down a comment. I posted it, and I was just looking through the people who have posted other stuff. For example, for some inspiration or photographs or whatever, and I found your page, and I started following you, and that's how I found you, for example. So having that just quick search is how everything happens. I don't really put my mind into it as much, but I suppose if how I've started so far, and with the promises that I'm doing to myself with my future business, I'm going to have to kind of focus on that in regards to marketing and doing the research and everything.
Yeah, it's funny because other people have found me via certain people and by somebody who we both mutually follow or what have you, and someone's tagged me because I work with them, it still blows my mind that people like yourself come and find me and go like, oh yeah, I'll come on your podcast, or like, should we do some work together? And it's like, how it amazes me how we're all linked in that way.
Yep.
But you just don't quite know, like it's so interesting. But like also with, I think, social media as well, I think you can curate your own social media to make it, you can view whatever you want to view. You're not pushed, because when Instagram first started, a lot of people were using like trying to be bloggers and influencers and stuff, and it was a really big thing to be a blogger. And now it's much less, there's a lot of advertisement on it, but it's much less of this kind of, I feel like the influencers, there's less of them, maybe because I'm not following them.
I'm on the other side, actually.
Are you?
Yes, I do follow loads of influencers. They might be just models or photographers. I do follow loads of models because they usually tag the photographer that they've been on a shoot with, which gives me loads of people to just look up to, which is great. But in regards to influencers, and I don't I don't really think that we have that much options of what is being pushed to us, because there is an algorithm that always works with or against us, depending on what you view mostly. So even if you kind of start to, I think I don't remember exactly the name, but there was a documentary done around social medias and how that works and the algorithm and everything. So people started new accounts with different things, and they were like, I'm going to target this, for example, cactuses. I'm going to target cactuses, and I'm going to focus on that. I'm going to share them. I'm going to search for them and everything. But at the same time, you don't see them only. There's so many things that just pop up in there. Just, for example, paid advertising.
Yeah.
Not even that. Just because of the algorithm, the social media or the platform in general pushes other things. It just feeds you with other stuff, which kind of goes back to, I think, a different topic about consumerism. But I'm not going to start talking about that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do. Yeah, that's a big one as well. It's a difficult one, especially in our industry where I find that sometimes a bit of a mind bend that I'm in an industry where my job is to sell stuff to people. I've got to make stuff look pretty for photographers to take pictures of. But it's also then, how do you not overconsume yourself? Yeah, that's a bit. Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Definitely.
That's a subject for another day. But
It's a long one.
yeah, but you are right. Like, there's a lot of. I'm glad that now Instagram and I think TikTok as well are doing, like, you have to put paid ad or like advertisement on your stories if you're selling stuff and collaborations, because they didn't used to, and people just used to push stuff. And I think, like, I don't go on there to be sold some shit.
Yeah.
I'm not going on there because I'm like, same as you looking for photographers, I'm like looking at interiors accounts, seeing what's in fashion, like, using it. I use it as a mood board, really.
Yeah.
And and to, like you say, connect with different people that you might not necessarily have come across face to face, which is quite nice.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's getting a bit more transparent. Of course, I'm not going to speak about like all the editing around influencers and user created content and all of that, but it is becoming. I feel like I can see a trend going on more around being real. Oh, that reminded me of the app Be Real.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've heard about it.
Do you know what? I can't handle Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and Be Real. I've gone off Snapchat, and I can't do another one. It looks fun, but yeah.
I understand you. I just wanted to say that I've kind of noticed that more and more people are pushing to be more natural, to be like, oh, I'm against all the fakery, because it was when I was, of course, kind of younger, like more than around 5 years ago. I don't know.
Yeah.
It was the fake kind of persona was glorified, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Now, like, being more natural, more down to earth, being more recognizable and approachable, it's more interesting for people, because all the people like me, for example, I'm a consumer because I watch TikTok a lot, and I've seen enough of them. Yeah. And most people have the same kind of opinion around this. I've had many conversations with just friends of mine, not really kind of done any research around that, but I can just see it with many influencers as well.
Yeah, I think that's it. Like, I liked TikTok initially because it was average people being really funny and being silly, and I was like, oh my god, me and my husband are like that. This is hilarious. This is really funny. And like, I just found it really funny. But now I'm the same as you. I'm like, well, I'm a bit bored of it, really.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, my fail safe is always Instagram, just because I like pictures. So
It's quick and easy.
Yeah, that and a bit of Pinterest, and that's it. That's because I lose hours on TikTok just looking at dog videos. I've got a dog. Yeah, I'm looking at dog videos. Like I could just watch her for 8 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of actually feel guilty sometimes that I'm going to a direction that I'm going to kind of pursue making such content that is meant to be sold in a way to be kind of fed to people, which I'm going to kind of course, I view things kind of a bit differently. I don't really want to do that, but at the moment this is what's been searched for, and if people search for it, it's going to be delivered even if I stop doing it.
Yeah.
Or not.
Yeah. I think that's the hard thing as well, is like keeping up on trends on social media, especially if you're running your own business as well, or like yourself doing a degree. You've got more important things than doing the newest trend or what have you.
Yeah.
So it is quite hard to keep up with. But actually, going back to what you were saying about just being yourself on social media, I've found that I have like more engagement when I'm like, even on my work one, where it's mostly my portfolio, like I dug out a picture from like 2012 that my mate at a studio was like, you look hilarious, took a picture and then like montaged me on this picture, and it's ridiculous, and none of it was flattering. And then I was like, do you know what, I'll just use this image on my work Instagram because it's funny. And I had way more engagement on that than like just me being a little bit stiffer and a bit like, well, this is me and book me for this date or whatever. So I do think that like being yourself, people then know what they're getting into when they book you or when you go into a studio. They're like, oh yeah, you know, she's the one who's a bit silly, it's, you know, fine. And I think, yeah, it's fun. It's social media is just a funny one. I think it's interesting to see somebody's point of view who's younger than me, who's had it. You've come at it from a different perspective.
Yeah, I guess it's. I'm very curious to actually see where social media is gonna end up like in like 20 years. I'm just curious. I want to watch it on like a movie or something.
Yeah, I actually wonder if it'll like die out a little bit, because I don't know if you're the same, but for me, Facebook has died off for like kind of my generation. My grandma and my mum and dad, they're kind of on it quite a bit on Facebook, and it seems to be like me and my sister and my peers are all kind of on Instagram, excuse me, and then a little bit on TikTok. And then my little cousin, who's like 18, is on Be Real, Snapchat, and a little bit of TikTok. So it's weird how they've kind of like segregated age groups now.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Most of the people from my family, for example, my parents, yes, they're on Facebook mostly. They have an Instagram, but they don't really use it.
Yeah.
And I do agree on that. For example, I don't use Snapchat at all, apart from like just playing around with the effects and just looking at them just for being silly. But yeah, Behance, for example, Pinterest, Flickr, and all of them, that's more of a professional kind of websites for people to use. But apart from that, Instagram, I think, is the leader at the moment, with TikTok, of course. But depending on what you search for, I actually, now that I think about it, because I come from Bulgaria, and I think the people there are kind of more slow with time. We're like maybe 5 to 10 years back. Some people, not everyone, of course. So Facebook is still quite big there, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just thought about it.
Yeah, it's weird. Like my dad's on Facebook, like I say, like all the time, and I'm like, but I don't know why. There's nothing really interesting on it. I go on Facebook Marketplace is absolutely amazing if you are looking for like, I don't know, we got a desk from there or whatever. But like, other than that, maybe the odd picture I put up of our dog so that every family can see. But like, that's about
so
it.
You don't do your publicity around Facebook? You don't target anyone on Facebook?
No, I used to, and it flopped. It just doesn't, the engagement's not there. Okay. So I think some wedding photographers that I follow use it, because obviously they're showcasing like maybe 1 or 2 weddings a month or what have you. And they must get work from it, but my work, it just, I don't
It's
get
not
anything.
fair.
No, I get more off Instagram and then LinkedIn a teeny bit. LinkedIn's a bit of a funny one. But yeah, mostly off Instagram. I like, for the commercial side, I'm saying commercial like as in not wedding photography. I don't think that Facebook's worth it. It's just like, yeah, I never really got anything off it. So it wasn't worth my time putting in loads of hours on it if I'm not getting that back in paid work.
Yeah.
You know, you kind of have to balance yourself out like that a little bit. Like, whereas the odd post on LinkedIn or updating once or twice a week on my work Instagram, or even just doing a little story, will often produce more work than.
Yeah. Oh, a story goes a long way.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I'm trying at the moment to look out for actually how to engage more with my social media, even though I'm the so-called like digital age. Even kids after me are more than me, but still, being in that digital world doesn't mean that we know everything.
Yeah.
And of course, I'm looking to pursue my master's in marketing and brand management, which is definitely like a step further from my photography degree that I'm doing, but still is kind of around there. So I have to definitely look at how engagement works, how to target and who to target, how everything around that works basically. And that's gonna be interesting, because I'm going to have to see the social medias and everything digital from a different viewpoint in a way.
Yeah.
Not from a consumer mostly, but from a creator.
Yeah, and like a more analytical point of view as well. Like, it's one of my friends works in the kind of SEO kind of marketing side of things, and she tried to explain some of the Google SEOs to me, and literally my head blew off. I was like, I don't understand any of this. And she was like, oh yeah, and if you put this here and this here, and I'm like, don't know. I like, how do you do this? I don't know. Like, it's mad.
I really hope. Yeah, I kind of agree. I've had a chat with a few people that do that for a living, and I'm just like, yeah, that really sounds interesting, but can you repeat it again? Because I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet.
Yeah, I literally needed a picture flow chart of how it worked from my friend to understand it. It is amazing, like what tech can do and how it can push things, and you know, it's incredible. And I think it's a really interesting thing to masters to go on to as well, like a bit of marketing on top of your photography, because then you've got like more different views. So that's really good.
I'm really excited actually. Yeah.
Are you going to be studying at Huddersfield again for your masters?
Yes, I'm currently applying for it and doing some documentation stuff around that. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to it, because it's gonna make me be like one step closer to what I want to have one day, which is a creative agency. But that's like one day in the future, like far future kind of thing. At the moment, I'm just a freelance photographer trying to find my way out there.
Yeah, well, a lot of producers are going on to do freelance producers are going on to build micro agencies now at the moment as well. And there's I don't know whether it's a magazine anymore, but it's called Prolific North, and they have done quite a lot of articles on these micro agencies, whereby they're kind of like one point of contact, say, and this person can book location houses. And you know, I'm going from a producer's point of view, but these micro agencies, they're managing all the freelancers, sorting all the work, doing all the mood boards, all the scamps and everything else. And that's a really interesting thing as well, because I think a lot of people are using these micro agencies rather than the bigger agencies as well, because it's a more personalized service, I guess.
Yeah. Sounds interesting. I definitely will check it out. I wrote it down.
Yeah, do, because they have some really interesting articles, and I just think sometimes it comes from like a different point of view and you're like, oh shit, yeah. And these are all people who are in the industry as well. So they're, you know, worth having a little look at as well and see if you like their work or what have you. So yeah, they're really, that's all right. It's a really, there you go, listeners, a good tip for you as well. But yeah, it's really interesting that you want to go down the agency route as well, because that's a really good, like, what's the word I'm looking for?
It's scary.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But stuff that, what I've learned as I've gotten older, you need to do the stuff that makes you scared, because that's where you'll find the best rewards and all the fun stuff. And you've got to figure stuff out as you go along, and you need to do stuff that makes you scared. And I think it's a really good ambition to have. Like, I really admire you for that, because it's something that's like, it's doable, and I'm sure you'll smash it. And yeah, it's like a really good, like a good aim.
Thank you. Hopefully. There's something that I've always liked to say, with something in regards to what you just said, have doing something that scares you, to kind of step out your comfort zone. Many people do say that, yeah, do stuff that scares you, challenge yourself, go out of your comfort zone, and you're going to find something interesting. But something that really has pushed me to go out of that zone is literally, if you have 1 second of bravery, that's all you need. Because afterwards you're in the situation already, and you have to just make it out of there. You just have to do it or fuck it up. So it's up to you.
Yeah, that's so true. That's so true. Yeah, it's definitely true. Definitely true.
Yeah.
On that courageous note, I think we'll end it there, because I think we've just both given a lovely little piece of advice there. And
hopefully, thank you.
That's all right. I've really enjoyed having you on, and I look forward to meeting you in a couple of weeks. We're going to do a test shoot together. So that's really exciting. And yeah, thanks so much for coming on. I've really enjoyed it.
Thank you a lot for having me. It's been great. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Please rate, follow, and share, as it really helps this little podcast out. And if you have found value in the podcast and you have the means to, I do have a Buy Me a Coffee link in the show notes. This will help keep the podcast going. Join me next week for another fantastic guest. Bye!